For nearly 40 years, the BMW M3 has been more than just a car. It's a legend, a machine that redefined performance, captured hearts, and set the standard for what a sports car could be. Born in Germany, this Bavarian beauty has evolved. From the raw analog brilliance of the E30 to the high-tech marvel of the G80, the M3 has evolved, but its soul has never changed. Now, as we stand on the brink of its electric future, we're taking you through the full story of the M3, every generation, every piece, every innovation that made it an icon. But here's the twist. The best is yet to come. Let's see. Stick around until the end, because the next chapter of the M3's legacy might just blow your mind. As a community of car enthusiasts, we might disagree on which machine is the best in the universe, but when it comes to the love for the M3 E30, we all agree. It's truly a legacy, a blend of beauty, excitement, and a success story that still shines to this day. Back then, the process of building cars was vastly different from what it is now, and the advancements since have been immense. But one look at the M3 E30 makes you realize that numbers, technology, and flashy features aren't always what you need in a dream machine. A car that takes us back to 1986. When it was produced until 1991. It first debuted at the 1985 Frankfurt Motor Show. Typically, when we talk about sports cars like this, they're usually upgrades or enhancements of existing models. The E30 M3, however, was different. The street version we know was actually developed from a race car, a machine built first for competition. To participate in Group A racing, BMW had to produce and sell a street-legal version of the race car. They needed to make 5,000 units, and they did exactly that. BMW didn't exceed that number. Production was limited to 5,000 units, and every single one of those M3s is a gem. The E30, in all its versions, is undeniably attractive, but the M3 variant is in a league of its own. Some might even argue it's the best M car BMW has ever made. Its design is striking, and personally, I'm a huge fan of the sharp angles and bold lines from that era. BMW nailed it with this one, especially for a race car. Just take a look at its contemporaries from Group A racing, like the Ford Sierra, the Cosworth RS, or even the Holden. As much as I love the Toyota Corolla AE86, the M3 E30 stands alone, as if it's from a completely different era. Even the Mercedes 190E, another German legend, is a masterpiece. But let's be honest, the M3 E30 is in a class of its own. The E30's lines are sharp and precise, crafted in the classic German style that embodies BMW's spirit. Its headlights are piercing, and its front grille resembles a cat's nose. The subtle spoiler whispers that it's a sports car. M3 badges on the front and rear are understated yet elegant. Today, such badges are often plastered all over cars. The brakes are blue, the seatbelts are yellow, and the stitching is in M colors. Every detail screams M power. Nowadays, customers demand M badges on everything, but back then, it was earned. There's a philosophical difference in how cars were made back then. The Germans weren't in a race with anyone. They were confident in their craft and saw excessive ornamentation as childish and unbecoming. This is what makes the E30 so special in my eyes. Even the flared wheel arches were functional, added to accommodate wider wheels. In short, the M3 E30 is stunningly beautiful. Inside, it's clear that this car was built for the driver. Everything is driver-focused, even the center console angles toward the driver. Despite its beauty and strong character, it's obedient and full of emotion. The seats are bucket style, and the seating position is lower than any modern M car you can buy today. The gear shifter, in classic M colors, is a nod to its racing heritage. The driving experience is simple and focused, connecting you to the car with every sense. And then there's the engine, small but mighty. It breathes naturally, without any assistance, delivering instant throttle response. The mechanical sounds are raw and close, and the thin doors lack modern soundproofing or electronics. The visibility is better than any modern car, and driving the E30 gives you emotions you can't buy today. All this with just 200 horsepower, and trust me, those 200 horses were more than enough to deliver endless fun. The car weighed between 1,080 and 1,200 kilograms compared to the modern M4, which averages around 1,700 kilograms. That's a 600 kilogram difference. The power-to-weight ratio of the E30 was 6.15 kilograms per horsepower, and it could go from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 6.7 seconds. But the joy it delivered was immeasurable. Later versions, like the Evolution model, pushed the engine to 2.5 liters and 240 horsepower. Only 600 of these were made, making them incredibly rare, and let's not forget its racing roots. On the track, the E30 was a dominant force, winning over 1,400 titles across various categories, including the World Touring Car Championship. Driver Eric van der Poel won the DTM and the European Championship in 1987, making the E30 the most decorated car in M-Power history. What a legend. If the generations of the BMW M3 were a big family, the second generation might be considered the unwanted child, a machine with more power and better technology than its predecessor. But as they say, love is blind. Let's not underestimate it. It was the beginning of a love story between the inline-six engine and the letters and numbers of the M3. It was the first of the siblings to feature the iconic aero mirrors, the first M3 sedan in history, as well as the first with a 6-speed manual transmission in the M lineup. 1996 was the year the second generation of the Bavarian bomb, the M3, was launched. The first thing I want to say is that I can't imagine how difficult it must have been for BMW. The challenge lay in improving a machine that the whole world had already agreed was a masterpiece, the E30. To do that, BMW took bold steps with the E36 M3, which was larger and featured an engine from a different class. There's a significant size difference between the sports coupes of that era and the sports coupes of 2025, but even the first generation E30 had a size advantage over the second and third generations that followed. For comparison, its length was 4,433 millimeters compared to the E30's 4,325 millimeters, a difference of just over 10 centimeters in length and more than 13 centimeters in width. This might have been manageable if it weren't for the weight difference. The E30 averaged around 1,200 kilograms, while the E36 suddenly jumped to around 1,500 kilograms. This is where we begin to understand why this car was less beloved than its predecessor. We, and those like us, are passionate lovers, and I don't think any lover would be happy to see their beloved gain weight. Sure, looks are a matter of taste, but if we take a closer look, we can see how BMW maintained the philosophy of that era, clean and organic, with subtle curves and sharp lines. The kidney grille and aggressive design are something I personally admire from that period. The car is sleek and aerodynamic, especially in the beloved black color. On the street, the average person might not have been able to tell it apart from a regular BMW 3 Series. By the way, the regular 3 Series of that era wasn't bad at all. If you're a car enthusiast and don't mind spending your youth in garages, you could turn a regular E36 3 Series into a wild explosive machine with some modifications. Even in stock form, if the car is well maintained, it can be incredibly fun. If you're considering one, go for the 320 or 325. The 330 wasn't available yet. The 200 horsepower in a small BMW with rear-wheel drive and classic BMW handling can give you Porsche-like thrills. But if you're serious and want the ultimate version, you'll have to go for the M3. Returning to the M3, it's essentially the same car, but you might not realize it's an M until it blows past you on the highway. Inside, the car is more spacious and comfortable, but it still follows BMW's philosophy: the driver comes first. Everything, including the center console, is angled toward the driver. Even the cassette player was positioned for the driver's convenience. Back then, your wife didn't even have the right to change the music. The biggest change and the most important part is the beating heart of the M3 E36, the legendary S50 engine. This engine marked the beginning of a journey that continues to this day with the inline-six concept. It started with a 3.0-liter displacement and ended with a 3.2-liter. This engine was also the first to feature the BMW's Vanos technology, which made it perform like a turbocharged engine, even though it was naturally aspirated. In short, Vanos kept the engine smooth and responsive when you were cruising, but when you stepped on it, you'd unleash 320 horsepower and a mad engine ready to rev all the way to 7,400 RPM. This is Ferrari level performance, my friends. The engine, with its M-specific tuning, was a beast. Beautiful sound and 350 Newton meters of torque. With multiple transmission options, the best by far was the 6-speed manual. It delivered pure excitement and thrill with a 0 to 100 kilometers per hour time of 5.5 seconds. Top speed was also significantly higher. If you were on the Autobahn, you could easily hit the 250 kilometers per hour limit set by the manufacturer. In conclusion, the second generation was a star, beautiful, refined, and full of German engineering. It brought significant improvements in power, design, comfort, and luxury compared to the E30. Fun fact, the E36 was also the first M3 to come in a sedan version, a feature that was discontinued in the next generation. Back then, BMW had paused production of the E39 M5 sedan, so the E36 M3 sedan filled that gap for enthusiasts who wanted a sporty sedan. However, despite all these improvements, it couldn't quite match the glory of its predecessor, neither on the track nor in the hearts of enthusiasts. Let's see. Maybe the next generation will get the job done. If the E30 was the underdog and the E36 was incomplete, the third star of the M3 family, the E46, will leave everyone speechless. A Bavarian coupe that made history, a blend of speed, beauty, balance, and quality that was the ultimate dream in its time. And still is today. Enthusiasts are ready to give up everything just to park one of these beauties in front of their house. Welcome everyone to the third installment of our series on the Bavarian bomb. Let's dive into the BMW M3 E46. We're going back to the year 2000, specifically October. Yes, my friends, BMW kicked off the new century, the 21st century, with a masterpiece. They unveiled the E46 M3 at the Geneva Motor Show in a legendary Phoenix yellow color. This cool yellow hue, as they called it, set the tone for a car that was already surrounded by myth myths. From that day in 2000 until 2006, BMW sold 85,000 units worldwide, making it the best-selling M car in history to this day. At first glance, the E46 M3 was breathtaking. Its beauty touches the soul, and its body is harmonious. The E46's design was so modern that it is still beautiful and on point nearly a quarter of a century later. The E46 M3 came only in coupe form, with a convertible version available, but no sedan this time. There was also a concept version with station wagon body style, but it never made it to production. Just one look at it, and you'll understand how perfectly proportioned a car should be. Every millimeter was studied and designed with precision, reflecting the elegance of that era. The E46 M3 had subtle yet aggressive design cues that screamed sports car. The front bumper was fierce, with large air intakes. The flared wheel arches, lowered stance, and quad exhaust pipes were all part of its menacing look. Stepping inside, the E46 M3 continues to impress. It was the last M3 without excessive screens and technology, a time when BMW was focused and passionate about creating driver-centric cars. Every surface you touch feels solid and built to last. Personally, I owned an E46 for a long time. Not an M3, but many elements were shared. The quality inside was unmatched. It's like holding a vintage German machine. Precise, expensive, and timeless. If you doubt me, just sit in any American or Japanese car from the same era and you'll see the difference. Just play with the turn signals, shift the gears a few times, and you'll understand why I'm so in love with German engineering. Now let's talk about the heart of the E46 M3, the legendary S54 engine. This 3.2-liter inline-6 naturally aspirated engine was a masterpiece, producing between 343 and 360 horsepower, depending on the version. The CSL version, which we'll get to later, pushed it even further. The S54 was a development of the S50 engine from the E36, but it was stronger, more reliable, and had a sound that was out of this world. With double Vanos technology, the engine was responsive and ready to scream all the way to 8,000 RPM. Every time you ask, what, is this a race car? I'll tell you, of course it is. It's a BMW. This machine was tuned to perfection, offering not just power and speed, but also an unparalleled driving experience. The E46 M3 was a joy to drive, with improved handling and balance compared to its predecessors. The weight distribution was better, and you could feel the rear end as if it were an extension of your own body. The limited slip differential made drifting and cornering a breeze, and the 0 to 100 km/h time was just over 5 seconds. On the Autobahn, it could easily hit its electronically limited top speed of 250 km/h. And let me tell you, the E46 M3 was also a fantastic daily driver. Comfortable, practical, and with plenty of storage space. Even the back seats were usable, though your friends might not thank you for it. The E46 M3 maintained its lightweight and agile nature, weighing in at just under 1,500 kilograms. The CSL version, however, took things to another level. BMW shaved off 110 kilograms, bringing it down to 1,385 kilograms through the use of lightweight materials like aluminum, carbon fiber, and even a carbon fiber roof. The CSL's engine was tuned to 360 horsepower. The CSL was a track-focused beast, but it was still street legal. Its unique front bumper with a single air intake and integrated rear spoiler made it instantly recognizable. Only 1,383 CSL units were made, with 542 of them going to the UK market alone. The E46 M3 in all its forms is a legend. It's a car that still commands respect and admiration today, whether it's the standard M3, the lightweight CSL, or the race-bred GTR. The E46 M3 is a dream car for many. It's the car that made you look twice when you were a kid, dreaming of the day you'd own one. Today there are still plenty of well-maintained examples out there, and their prices are only going up. If you're lucky enough to own one, hold on to it. It's a piece of automotive history. Finally, let's talk about the ultimate version, the E46 M3 GTR. Built to meet homologation requirements for racing, the GTR featured a 4.0-liter V8 engine producing 450 horsepower. It was lighter than the CSL, weighing just 1,350 kilograms, and it dominated on the track. The GTR won numerous championships, including the 24 Hours of Nürburgring and the American Le Mans Series. It wasn't just a car, it was a flying machine. My friends, this machine was from an era when BMW went absolutely wild. It was the first and only in the M3 lineup to feature a V8 engine with the most powerful versions exceeding 450 horsepower, special editions, insane limited production sedans, and thrilling details for every car enthusiast. Welcome to the BMW M3 E92. The story of this beast takes us back to the fall of 2007. BMW launched it 2 years after the regular 3 Series, and by 2008, it was available in multiple variants. There was the convertible, coded as the E93, and the sedan, which I personally adore, coded as the E90. But the most famous of them all is the E92 coupe. This machine came out roaring, ready to dominate, bold and sharp, just like the era it was born into, a time when the world was on fire, especially in Germany. The competition was fierce, with rivals like the C63 AMG, which packed a 6.3-liter V8. It was also the last era before strict environmental regulations kicked in, which is why we saw such monstrous machines from BMW, not just the M3, but even the legendary E60 M5 with its 10-cylinder engine, inspired by Formula One technology. It was truly amazing. But before you get too excited, let me tell you, this era also saw cars grow in size and weight, with more technology, screens, and thicker A-pillars due to airbags and sensors. It's not an easy topic to judge, but we'll try to keep it light and fun. Let's start with the design. If we're talking about looks, I don't think anyone can argue about its beauty. The E92 M3 is a mix of aggression and elegance, a perfect blend of Bavarian proportions. Even from a distance of 1,000 meters, you'd recognize it as a BMW. But today it's in a weird spot. It's not old enough to be a classic, nor new enough to feel modern. Maybe in 10 years or so, it'll be more appreciated. Personally, I love its headlights. The round lenses, nicknamed Angel Eyes by fans, were a first for the M3 and became a signature feature for future models. The side profile is muscular and well proportioned, and the side gills on the front fenders are a nod to the E46. From the front, it's stunning, and from the back, the quad exhaust tips are perfectly balanced and beautiful. The carbon fiber roof was standard on the E92, a first for the M3, and it added to the car's sporty character. Now let's step inside. If we're being honest, the interior of the E92 doesn't quite match the quality of its predecessors or successors. There's a lot of plastic, and while it's functional, it doesn't feel as premium as it should. Performance though, the heart of the E92 M3 was the S65 V8 engine, a 4.0-liter powerhouse producing 420 horsepower. This engine was a first and last for the M3, a V8, instead of the traditional inline 6, featuring double vanos and individual throttle bodies. The engine block was made from the same material used in F1 engines, making it incredibly light, just 202 kilograms, 15 kilograms lighter than the inline-6 in the E46 M3. This V8 could rev all the way to 8,300 RPM, delivering a spine-tingling roar. The 0 to 100 sprint took just 4.6 seconds, and the top speed was electronically limited to 280 kilometers per hour. But this engine wasn't without its flaws. Its power delivery was unusual for a V8. Most of the torque was available only at high RPMs, meaning you had to rev it hard to feel the power. This made city driving less enjoyable and took away from the traditional V8 experience of low-end grunt. There were also reliability issues, particularly with the rod bearings, which could fail unexpectedly and destroy the engine. This made it hard to fully relax behind the wheel, as you were always wary of pushing the engine too hard. But despite these issues, the E92 M3 was an absolute joy to drive. Now let's talk about the special editions. The first is the GTAs, finished in a striking orange with a massive rear wing that looked like it belonged on a race car. This was BMW's ultimate track-focused version of the E92 M3. It featured Recaro seats, a roll cage, a titanium exhaust, and extensive use of carbon fiber. Only 138 units were made, and it cost around $150,000, a price tag that put it in supercar territory. The GTS wasn't just about looks. BMW reworked the entire car, including the engine, which was enlarged to 4.4 liters and produced 450 horsepower. This made it 100 horsepower more powerful than the previous generation's top model, and even 20 horsepower more than the next generation's M3. The GTS was a true supercar in every sense, with a 0 to 100 kilometers per hour time of 4.4 seconds and a top speed of 305 kilometers per hour. Then there's the sedan version, the E90 M3. While less popular than the coupe, it had its own charm. The same V8 engine and performance specs, but with 4 doors for practicality. BMW also produced a limited edition DTM Champion Edition to celebrate their dominance in the 2012 DTM Championship. Only 54 units were made, each finished in a cool black with M power stripes. These cars were a tribute to BMW's racing success and are highly sought after today. The E92 M3 in all its forms is a legend. It's a car that represents an era of unbridled passion and engineering excellence from BMW. Whether it's the coupe, convertible, sedan, or the track-focused GTS, the E92 M3 is a machine that will forever hold a special place in the hearts of car enthusiasts. Today's star is no stranger. Car enthusiasts remember its launch and how it captured hearts instantly. It was the first M3 to feature turbocharging and the first to be offered exclusively as a sedan. Sizes changed, philosophies shifted, and today we'll discuss whether it still holds up as a true Bavarian marvel. Welcome, my friends, to the 5th generation of the Bavarian bomb. We're talking about the M3 F80, and while we're at it, we'll also touch on its sibling, the M4 F82. Honestly, I was torn about whether to focus on the M3 or the M4 for this video, but for the sake of comparison, I decided to stick with the M3, but not forget about the M4. The F80 M3 made its debut at the 2014 North American International Auto Show. It arrived a year after the regular 3 Series, alongside the M4. These cars were rare examples where everyone agreed on their beauty and presence from the very first glance. They retained the classic M3 proportions, but with a modern twist. The design was sharp, aggressive, and unmistakably modern. The M3 and M4 shared the same design language. The angry headlights and large air intakes screamed performance. The side gills, a signature M feature, were present, and the brakes came in vibrant colors, shouting "sports car." Despite being a sedan, it had the stance of a supercar, with a low ride height and bold lines. Stepping inside, the interior was even more impressive. BMW introduced screens, and the technology was top-notch for its time. The designs and materials were exceptional, though today they might feel a bit dated, but back then, it was nothing short of magical. Now let's talk performance. BMW, in all humility, pioneered the idea of a sports family car with models like the M3 and M5. Even the X5M was one of the first high-performance SUVs in history. The F80 M3 was a rocket, no doubt about it, but as they say, there's always a but. In my opinion, the F80 M3 is no longer the purebred E30. The differences are vast, the biggest being the shift in philosophy. It's now a car built to sell, not to prove a point or showcase personality. Yes, it's an excellent car, but it doesn't quite match the brilliance of its predecessors. If I were to rank all 6 generations, the F80 would unfortunately land at the bottom. The heart of this beast is the S55 engine, a 3.0-liter inline-6 with twin turbos. BMW returned to its roots with this engine, reminiscent of the E36 and E46, but with modern turbocharging. It produced 431 horsepower in the standard version, which was more than the previous generation's V8, but less than the E92 GTS. However, the torque was where it truly shined. 550 Nm compared to the E92's 400 Nm. That's a massive 150 Nm difference. The twin turbo setup included a small turbo for low-end response and a larger one for high RPM power. The torque was available from as low as 1,850 RPM, making the car feel lively and responsive from the moment you stepped on the gas. Despite being rear-wheel drive, it could sprint from 0 to 100 km per hour in just 4.1 seconds, with a top speed of 280 km per hour. These were real-world numbers, not just marketing hype. The standard transmission was a 6-speed manual, but you could opt for the 7-speed DCT for an extra $2,500. Personally, I don't know if I'd say the DCT is worth it. It was BMW's first automatic transmission that truly deserved to be chosen over the manual. But you know, the stick is something else. The handling was sharp, and the driving modes were endless. However, the steering feedback left something to be desired. It didn't quite match the feel of the E46, for example. But despite that, the F80 was a joy to drive, and it excelled in drifting. It was a true king of donuts. There were special editions too. The most notable was the M4 GTS, which packed 500 horsepower and 600 Nm of torque. It was a track-focused machine capable of hitting 0 to 100 km per hour in 3.5 seconds and a top speed of 305 km per hour. It even set an impressive time at the Nürburgring. The GTS was exclusive to the M4, but the M3 had its own special edition, the CS, with 460 horsepower. Carbon ceramic brakes and other performance upgrades, it was a street-legal beast. The final special edition was the DTM Champion Edition, limited to just 23 units worldwide, finished in alpine white with bold M power stripes. It was a rare gem. On the racing front, the F80 M3 DTM was a monster on the track. BMW competed in the DTM series with this car, and it was a force to be reckoned with. The most extreme version was the M4 GT4, a track-only car for millionaires who wanted to enjoy it exclusively on the circuit. In conclusion, the F80 M3 is a fantastic car, but it marks a shift in BMW's philosophy. It's no longer the raw analog machine of the past, but it's still a thrilling sports car. Now we talk monumental. 40 years of development and refinement. 40 years that have given us 5 previous models, each with its own story. And now we've reached the latest chapter in this legendary saga. the BMW M3 G80. While it's not the final boss anymore, it's a crucial stepping stone in a legacy that began in 1985. With the E30 and continues to evolve, the M3 G80, alongside its sibling, the M4 G82, represents the pinnacle of what BMW has achieved with this iconic nameplate. But as we stand on the brink of a new era, the next generation of the M3 is already on the horizon, promising to redefine what we know about performance and innovation. The M3 G80 made its debut in 2021, and until this moment, it remains one of the most advanced M3s on the road. From the first E30 in 1985 to the current G80, we've seen 6 generations, each pushing the boundaries of what's possible. The M3 and M4 share very little with their regular 3 Series, aside from the doors and the trunk lid. The design, however, is where opinions diverge. Some love it, some hate it, and it might have broken the hearts of every BMW enthusiast. There isn't an animal with long teeth that hasn't been compared to it. I'm still on the fence. The standard versions didn't win me over at first, but the performance models have started to grow on me. BMW has always been bold with design, and the G80 is no exception. The angry headlights, the aggressive front grille, and the large air intakes all scream performance. The side profile is sleek and muscular, with the iconic M3 side grills making a return, though they're now more for show than function. The rear is equally striking, with quad exhaust tips and a diffuser that hints at the car's capabilities. The wheels are a work of art, 19 inches at the front and 20 inches at the rear, designed to be both lightweight and strong. And if you're willing to pay extra $8,000, you can even get carbon ceramic brakes, just like on a supercar. Inside the G80 is a blend of luxury and technology. The carbon fiber accents, the high-quality materials, and the advanced tech make it a joy to sit in. The seats are a highlight. Standard ones are already excellent. But if you want to go all out, you can opt for the M carbon bucket seats, which I love. Now, let's talk performance, the heart of the M3 G80. This car is the culmination of 40 years of engineering excellence. Under the hood is a 3.0-liter inline-6 engine with twin turbos, producing 510 horsepower in the competition model and a staggering 650 Newton-meters of torque. This engine is a masterpiece. The steering is sharp and responsive, and the chassis is so well-tuned that it feels like the car reads your mind. The M1 and M2 buttons on the steering wheel let you save your favorite driving modes, so you can switch between comfort and full attack mode with a single press. The G80 comes standard with rear-wheel drive and a 6-speed manual transmission, but if you prefer, you can opt for the 8-speed automatic, which is faster and more refined. Personally, I'd go for the manual. It's a dying breed, and BMW deserves credit for keeping it alive in a car with over 500 horsepower until 2025. The 0 to 100 km per hour sprint takes just 3.9 seconds, and the top speed is electronically limited to 250 km per hour, 290 km per hour with the optional M Drivers package. The handling is razor sharp, and the car's computer even helps you perfect your drifts. BMW knows its costumers. Special editions and performance packages take things even further. The M3 Competition is the most powerful version, but if you want something even more extreme, there's the M3 CS. With 550 horsepower and a host of performance upgrades, it's a track-ready machine that's still street legal. These models push the boundaries of what's possible, proving that BMW is still at the top of its game. But the question was, is BMW ready and prepared to give petrolheads and speed enthusiasts what they want? It turns out, the next generation is just around the corner, arriving sooner than we think. There are plenty of rumors and speculations about it, but for now, let's focus on what we truly know, without any debate. From the raw E30 to the tech-packed G80, the M3 has evolved, but its soul has remained untouched. Now, as the automotive world shifts, the M3 faces its boldest transformation yet. Electrification. The next generation M3 will split into two paths, gasoline and electric. The electric M3, born from BMW's Vision Neue Klasse concept, will ride on an 800-volt platform with next-gen batteries and motors. Rumors hint at a quad-motor setup, delivering mind-blowing performance and precision. Hyperarch's level, this isn't just another EV. It's the first full electric M car, a groundbreaking moment for BMW's performance division. But can it prove that the spirit of the M3 can thrive without the roar of an engine? BMW will likely offer a gas-powered M3 alongside the electric version, and that gives me the chill. As we close this chapter, we can't help but look ahead. When the 7th generation M3 is fully revealed, we'll be here to talk about it. Every detail, every innovation, every moment that makes it worthy of the M3 name. Until then, the legend lives on.